हेलो फ्रेंड्स। तो हम स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं बायोलॉजी 11 क्लास की। तो जिसमें हम फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम यूनिट 1 देखेंगे, जिसमें है द लिविंग वर्ल्ड, बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन, प्लांट किंगडम, एनिमल किंगडम। सेकंड यूनिट है हमारा स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इन प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स। थर्ड यूनिट है स्ट्रक्चर एंड फंक्शंस। फोर्थ यूनिट है हमारा प्लांट फिजियोलॉजी। फिफ्थ यूनिट है हमारा ह्यूमन फिजियोलॉजी। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम देखेंगे द लिविंग वर्ल्ड। Diversity in the living world. Biology is the science of life forms and living processes. The living world comprises an amazing diversity of living organisms. Early man could easily perceive the difference between inanimate matter and the living organisms. Early man defied some of the inanimate matter, wind, AC, fire, etc., and some among the animals and plants. A common feature of all such forms of inanimate and animate objects was the sense of awe or fear that they evoked. The description of living organisms, including human beings, began much later in human history. Societies which indulged in anthropocentric view of biology could register limited progress in biological knowledge, systematics, and monumental description of life forms brought in out of necessary detailed systems of identification, nomenclature, and classification. The biggest spin-off of such studies was the recognition of the sharing of similarities among living organisms, both horizontally and vertically, that all present day living organisms are related to each other, and also to all organisms that ever lived on this earth, was a revelation which humbled man and led to cultural movements for conservation of biodiversity. In the following chapters of this unit, you will get a description including classification of animals and plants from a taxonomist's perspective. Born on 5th July 1904 in Kempten, Germany, Ernst Mayr. Ernst Mayr, 1904 to 2004. The Harvard University evolutionary biologist who has been called the Darwin of the 20th century, was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all time. Mayer joined Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Sciences of 1953 and retired in 1975, assuming the title Alexander Agassiz Professor of Zoology Emeritus. Throughout his nearly 80-year career, his research spanned ornithology, taxonomy, zoology, geography, evolution, systematics, and the history of and philosophy of biology. He almost single-handedly evolutionary biology that it is today. He also pioneered the currently accepted definition of the biological species. Mayer was awarded the three prizes widely regarded as the triple crown of biology: the Belgian Prize in 1983, the International Prize of Biology, the Belgian Prize in 1983, the International Prize for Biology in 1994, and the Crafoord Prize in 1999. Mayer died at the age of 100 in the year 2004. The Living World. How wonderful is the living world! The wide range of living types is amazing. The extraordinary habitats in which we find living organisms, be it cold mountains, deciduous forests, oceans, freshwater lakes, deserts, or hot springs, leave us speechless. The beauty of galloping horse of the migrating birds and the valley of flowers or the attacking shark evokes away and a deep sense of wonder. The ecological conflict of and cooperation among members of a population and among populations of a community or even the molecular traffic inside a cell make us deeply reflect on what indeed is life. This question has two implicit questions within it. The first is a technical one and six answer to what living is as opposed to the non-living, and the second is the philosophical one and six answer to what the purpose of life is. As scientists, we shall not attempt answering on the second question. We will try to reflect on what is living, diversity in the living world. If you look around, you will see a large variety of living organisms, be it potted plants, insects, birds, your pets, or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eye, but they are all around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observations in, the range and variety of organisms that you see would increase. Now, obviously, if you were to visit dense forest, you would probably see a much greater number and kinds of living organisms in it. Now, each different kinds of plant, animals, and organisms that you see represents a different represents a species. The number of species that are known are and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. This refers to biodiversity or the number and types of organisms present on earth. You should remember that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. We know that plants and animals in our own area by their local names. These local names would vary from place to place. One within a country, probably you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we did not find ways and means to talk to each other to refer to our organisms we are talking about. Hence, there is a need to standardize the naming of living organisms such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. In order to facilitate the study, number and scientists have established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plants, scientific names are based on the agreed principles and criteria which are provided in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature (ICBN). You may ask how are animals named? Animals taxonomists have evolved the International Code for Zoological Nomenclature (ICZN). The scientific names ensure that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other known organisms. Biologists follow universally accepted principles to provide scientific names to known organisms. Each name has two components, the generic name and specific epithet. This system of providing a name of with the two components is called binomial nomenclature. This naming system given by Carlos Linnaeus is being practiced by biologists found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific names better. The scientific name of mango is within written as Mangifera indica. Let us see how it is a binomial name. In this name, Mangifera represents the genus, while indica is a particular species or specific epithet. Other universal rules of nomenclature are as follows. सो नॉमेनक्लेचर बायनोमियल नॉमेनक्लेचर के कुछ रूल्स है. फर्स्ट रूल है बायोलॉजिकल नेम्स. बायोलॉजिकल नेम्स आर जनरली इन लैटिन एंड रिटन इन इटैलिक्स. दे आर लैटिनाइज्ड or derived from Latin, irrespective of their origin. The first word in a biological name represents the genus, while the second component denotes the specific epithet. Both the words in a biological name, when handwritten, are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. The first word denoting the genus starts with the capital letter, while the specific epithet starts with the small letter. It can be illustrated with the example of Mangifera indica. So हमारा फोर्थ रूल ये कहता है कि name of the author appears after the specific epithet, that is at the end of the biological name, and is written in an abbreviated form. For example, Mangifera indica Lin. It indicates that this species was first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessarily to devise some means to make this possible. This process is classification. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on some easily observable characters. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plants and animals, or certain characters with the dogs, cats, and insects. The moment of we use any of these terms, we associate certain characters with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of a dog? Obviously, each one of us will see dogs, not cats. Now, if we were to think of Alsatians, we know that what we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we were to say mammals, you would talking about. Similarly, per suppose we were to say mammals, you would of course think of animals with the external ears of body hairs. Likewise, in plants, if we try to talk about wheat, the picture of each, the picture in each of our mind will be of wheat plants, not of rice or any other plants. Hence, all these dogs, cats, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals, etc., are convenient categories we use to study record organisms. The scientific terms for these categories at very different levels. Plants also form taxa. Wheat is also taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs are all taxa. But you know that the dog is a mammal and mammals are animals, therefore, therefore animate mammals and dogs represent taxa at different levels. Hence, based on characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy, external process of ecological information of organisms are essential and form the basis of modern taxonomic studies. Hence, characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature are the processes that are basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kinds of human beings needed to find sources for their basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification were based on the uses of various organisms. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kinds of organisms and their diversities, but also the relationships among them. This branch out of study was referred to as relationships among them, referred to as systematics. The word systematics is derived from the Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as the title of publication. The scope of systematics was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematics takes into account evolutionary relationships between organisms. Taxonomic categories. Classification is not a single step process, but involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or category. Since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangements, it is called the taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. Each category, referred to as a unit of classification, in fact represents a rank and is commonly termed as taxon. Taxonomic categories and hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insects represent a group of organisms sharing common features like three pairs of joined legs. It means insects are recognizable concrete objects which can be classified and thus were given a rank or category. Can you name other such groups of organisms? Remember, groups represents category. Category further denotes rank. Each rank or taxon, in fact, represents a unit of classification. These taxonomic groups categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Taxonomical studies of all known organisms have led to the development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum, or division, class, order, family, genus, or species. All organisms, lowest category known how now. The question you may ask is how to place an organism in various categories. The basic requirement is the knowledge of characters of an individual or group of organisms. This helps in identifying similarities and dissimilarities among the individual of the same kind of organisms as well as of the other kinds of organisms species. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as a species. One should be able to distinguish one species from the other closely related species based on the distinct based on the distinct morphological differences. Set has considered Mangifera indica, Solanum tuberosum, Panthera luo. All the three names, indica, tuberosum, and luo, represent specific epithets, while the first word Mangifera solanum panthera are genera and represents another higher level of taxon and category. Each genus may have one or more than one specific epithets representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. For example, Panthera has another specific epithet called tigris, and Solanum includes species like Nigrum and Melangena. Human beings belong to species Sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. The just scientific name thus for human being is written as Homo sapiens genus. Genus comprises a group of related species which has more characters in common in comparison to species of other genera. We can say that brinjal are two different species, but both belong to the genus Solanum, lion, Panthera leopard, and tigris, with several common features, are all species of the genus Panthera, which Panthera tigris, Panthera pardus. This genus differs from the another genus Felis, which includes cats family. The next category family has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities as compared to genus or species. Families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of plants and species. Among plants, for example, three different genera Solanum petunia and Datura, placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animals, for example, genus Panthera comprising tiger, leopard is put along features of a cat and a dog. You will find some similarities and some differences as well. They are separated into two different families, Felidia and Canidia, respectively. Order. You have seen earlier that categories like species, genus, and families are based on the number of similar characters. Generally, order and other higher taxonomic categories are identified based on the aggregates of characters. Order being a higher category is the assemblage of similarities number as compared to different genera included in a family. Plant families like Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae are included in the order Polemonials, mainly based on the floral characters. The animal order Carnivora includes families like Phallidia canidia. Class. The category includes related orders. For example, order Primata, comprising monkey, gorilla, and gibbon in place is in class Mammalia, along with the order Carnivora, and includes animals like tiger, cat, and dog. Class Mammalia has other orders also. Phylum. Classes comprises animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, along with mammals constitute the next higher category like called phylum. All this based on the common features like presence of notochord and dorsal hollow neural system are included in phylum Chordata. In case of plants, classes with a few similar characters are assigned to a higher category called division. Figure 1.1 taxonomy categories showing hierarchical arrangement in ascending order. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, or species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom. All animals belonging to various phyla are assigned to the highest category called the kingdom Animalia. In the classification system of animals, the kingdom Plantae, on the other hand, is distinct and comprises all plants from various divisions. Henceforth, we will refer to these groups as animal and plant kingdoms. The taxonomic categories from species to kingdom have been shown in the ascending order, starting with species in figure 1.1. These are broad categories, however, taxonomists have also developed subcategories. This is hierarchy and to take facilitate more sound and scientific placement of various taxa. Look at the hierarchy in figure 1.1. Can you recall the basis of arrangement? Say, now, for example, as we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common characteristics goes on decreasing. Lower the taxa, more are the characteristics that the more are the characteristics that the mm, more are the characteristics that the members within the taxon share. Higher the category, greater the difficulty and of determining the relationship of the to higher to other taxa at the same level. Hence, the problem of classification becomes more complex. Table 1.1 indicates the taxonomic categories to which some common organisms like housefly, mango, man, mango, and wheat belong. Man, housefly, mango, wheat. Man. Homo sapiens, genus is Homo, family Hominidia, order Primata, class Mammalia, phylum Chordata. Housefly, Musca domestica, genus Musca, family Muscidia, order Diptera, class Insecta, phylum Arthropoda. Mango, Mangifera indica, genus Mangifera, family Anacardiaceae, order Sapindales, class Dictyonidia, phylum Angiospermia, wheat. Triticum aestivum, genus Triticum, family Poaceae, order Poales, class Monocotyledonaceae, Angiospermia, phylum. यहाँ पर हमारी समरी स्टार्ट होती है. द लिविंग वर्ल्ड इज रिच इन वैरायटी. Millions of plants and animals have been identified and described, but a large number still remains unknown. And the very range of organisms in terms of size, color, habitat, physiological and morphological features make us seek the defining characteristics of living organisms in order to facilitate the study of kinds and diversity of organisms. The biologists have evolved certain rules and principles for identification, nomenclature, and classification of organisms. The branch of knowledge dealing with these aspects is referred to as taxonomy. The taxonomic studies of various species of plants and animals are useful in agriculture, forestry, and industry, and in general for knowing of our bioresources and their diversity. The basics of taxonomy, like identification, naming, and classification of organisms, are universally evolved under international codes based on the resemblances and distinct differences. Each organism is identified and assigned a correct scientific biological name comprising two words as per the binomial system of nomenclature. An organism represents occupies a place or position in the system of classification. There are many categories, ranks, and are generally referred to as systematic categories of taxa. All the categories constitute a taxonomic hierarchy. So यहाँ पर हमारा वन शॉट लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म ख़त्म होता है, जिसमें हमने देखा डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म, डाइवर्सिटी इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड, जहाँ पर हमने 4 रूल्स देखे बाइनोमियल नोमेनक्लेचर के, टेक्सोनॉमी कैटेगरीज, स्पेसीज, जीनस, फैमिली, ऑर्डर, क्लास, फाइलम, किंगडम, और यहाँ पर हमारी समरी होती है ख़त्म. सो थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग.